Okay, so today I'm going to be interviewing a special guest,
Who?
a professional in the field. Some of you
Yes.
might have heard of her.
Are you going to add a drum roll to this?
Mika.
Yes. Today we're going to do a segment, A Day in the Life of a Wildlife Field Technician.
Yeah, I've prepared some questions and I'm going to have some follow-up questions because some of these answers are very exciting.
Really?
A bit dangerous sounding. Yeah, some of the encounters you had with some locals. I guess we'll get there. Are there any questions you want me to skip?
No.
Okay. So first, just to set the scene, I guess, what kind of environment do you usually work in when you're out in the field?
So, usually I am on farmland. It's
Okay.
like grasses or crops. Sometimes I'm in a cow field.
Is it private property? Or
Yeah, it's on private property. That's where I do my work. Yep.
okay. What's a typical day like for you when you're doing field work?
So here's my day. I wake up. I want to get out there by theoretically 6 a.m. at the earliest. I usually aim for 7. And for example, last week I got out by 8. I consider it good if I get out by 8. If I was a stronger willed person, I would be out there at 6 or 7. So I drive my car to one of my locations, and then I have to drive on these gravel roads, so not very well maintained. It's not driving on the highway.
Do you have an off-road vehicle?
I have an SUV that has all-wheel
Okay.
drive,
Okay.
and I get there, and then I need to usually open a gate to access the private property. I have to take a lot of pictures to document how I'm arriving and how I'm leaving to make sure that I don't leave a gate open so that no one can get angry at me. And I drive on like a private road to my location where I'm going to do my search. Then I do a short search and look for wildlife. Yeah. I write down the times I find the wildlife, the times I started and ended the search, and then I put it into a data form on my work tablet and on a paper data sheet. It's like double recording of data. So I do this about 20 to 30 times each day, going between different locations and collecting data that many times. And sometimes I do collect animals that I find that are dead, in case you're wondering, for further analysis by people who aren't me. And sometimes I do like bias trials. So to figure out, basically it's an sort of experiment to see how effective the method of my searching is for what we need to do. I will have lunch in my car at around 1. I'll have a bunch of snacks throughout the day because I need to keep myself going. It can get really hot or it can be sort of cold and windy. Bugs fly into my face. Bugs are really stupid and they fly into you all the time. I try to work hard and then I leave the field by about 6 p.m.
Okay. Is most of your work field work?
Yes, I do field work all day, and then the only other work that isn't field work is submitting my data.
Okay.
So I will get home at around 7 to 8. Then I'll submit my data. Then I'll eat dinner. And then I'll be like, I need free time because I'm not a robot. And then I'll go to bed too late. And then I'll wake up too late and it repeats.
What do you do if you need to go to the bathroom?
In the fields, man.
Okay. What's the toughest situation you faced while working in the field?
Well, sometimes it's very windy and it's hard to get the good photos that I need to take. Sometimes it's rainy and it gets my notebook all wet. Sometimes there's lightning nearby and I have to sit in my car for ages until it passes. Another time, a farmer's gate fell. I had to sit there until someone came to fix it because cows could have escaped. I've also had some encounters with the farmers who own the land where they were suspicious of me. One person actually called the sheriff on me. Another one brought all his friends to sort of intimidate and yell at me. So it wasn't the toughest situation, but those are some tough situations I've faced.
So that's the part that intrigues me. So you're on private farmland,
Yeah.
but surely all these people know you're there.
Well, how would they know? It's not like there's a doorbell.
But how are you allowed to go on there and do your surveys if like you didn't ask for permission first?
Well, I work for a company that works for a company that is partnered with the landowners.
Okay, but then shouldn't the landowners know that people are going out doing surveys?
Yeah, they know, but for some reason no one understands. Like all my coworkers are confused by it too. Everyone's always suspicious of me specifically. And because people are differing levels of informed about / caring about this kind of thing. Like they have a lot of land. Some of them are really tuned in to what's happening and to all the different people who have access to their land, and other people don't really care. They just are going by day to day. And if some random person is there and you're not expecting them to be there, you will react with surprise.
So what did you do when the sheriff and all came out?
When the sheriff came, I was just like, hello? And he said that the farmer was suspicious of me, so he called him and asked him to check me out. And he was like, just to confirm, what are you doing here? And I said I was doing wildlife surveys. And he was like, yeah, I knew that already because I knew you. I've seen you around. I was like, oh. And he was like, don't get too hot out here. And he left.
And what about when the gang of farmers showed up to scare you or whatever?
So what happened was I was actually acting quite imprudent. I was listening to an SNL skit really loudly through my car's radio because my car was on. I was using the air conditioning, and then my phone was connected through the stereo system, which meant that everything I was listening to was louder than it should have been, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was listening to this SNL skit, which was very sort of rave music. It's the kind of thing that you would be upset about if you were witnessing someone doing that you didn't recognize their car and they're on your property, right? They were probably
a bit weird.
Who's this hooligan? Just when I realized that they were there, it took a while because I was not paying attention to anything, just totally zoned out. And then I heard them saying, excuse me, excuse me. And I look behind me, I'm like, oh my God, it's a huge truck. I mean, it's chock full of these men. And I got out of my car and I was like, oh, hi, sorry. And I was wearing a high-vis vest and a hard hat maybe I wasn't wearing the hard hat. I was definitely wearing the high-vis vest, which shows that I am an employee of the company that works sort of with the land. And they were like, oh, we didn't realize that you worked for them. We thought you were just some random person. Usually an SUV isn't the vehicle that people use. It's usually a pickup truck, and I have an SUV. So they were like, sorry, we'll get out of your way. We'll let you go along with your business. And then they left. But they were all basically standing in the truck looking at me, I can only assume that they were trying to intimidate me, because otherwise why would all his friends be in the truck? And they were wearing
Sounds scary.
Yeah, they were wearing shirts talking about their guns. So they were all wearing them. So my coworkers were like, they obviously did that on purpose. I don't know if they did, but it was interesting.
Well, they hardly got changed and then came over to you.
Right, I feel like they were wearing them already. But
yeah. Okay, and then on the flip side, what do you enjoy the most about doing field work?
I enjoy being outside every day, finally using my degree. It's pretty self-paced, so I get to choose how much work I get done in a day, pretty much. And I get to see and interact with real animals every day, which was always a dream of mine.
Cool. What animals or plants are you focusing on right now?
Right now, the focus is birds and bats.
Mm-hmm. How do you gather data when you're in the field? What tools do you use?
So I use a tablet which has location information. I use a ruler to take measurements. a camera to take photos, although it's just in the tablet. But photos are like the biggest part, and like a rangefinder to figure out distances.
Right. So I guess this is important. How do you make sure the data is accurate?
Well, my work is being checked by lots of people above me. We said that I'm a professional, and I guess I am, but I'm the lowest tier. I have some flowcharts and things to check if I am not sure about an identification that I've made about an animal. For some things like locations that I'm trying to mark, I try to double check with multiple instruments, and we double check our data for accuracy and logic, like if it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I guess you kind of already answered this, but what do you do with your data after you get back? You send it in to someone, is it?
Yeah, I check it, and then I have to send it in to our database.
How do you make sure you're not harming any animals or plants?
Well, I don't disturb live animals. I drive carefully so I don't run anything over. The only thing I'm harming is plants, but it is only farmland, so usually it's not like a very important native plant. There are some meadows with resilient grasses and weeds that I run over, but they'll be fine.
I might just skip the next question about dangerous situations because I feel like you already answered that. How do you cope with being away from home or being in a remote place for a long time? It seems like you kind of like it though, right?
Yeah, I do like it, and I'm lucky that I have a lot of coworkers who we all get along, and we hang out every weekend and sometimes during the week. So it's nice, like it's a slow-paced lifestyle, and everything I need is here. Like there's a Walmart, so I can get things. I have access to Amazon, so I can get things that aren't at Walmart. There are restaurants. There aren't as many restaurant varieties that I would like, but I'm alive. It's fine. There have been worse places to live, I'm sure. And so, like, it's really good to have people who I get along with. I think if I was all by myself, it would be different and maybe more difficult.
So I guess maybe some people listening, I mean, they're probably interested in biology and maybe they're hoping to get into this kind of work if they're not already. Is there any advice you'd give to someone who wants to do field work like you?
Yeah, depending on your age, this might be more or less relevant, but you should get started gaining experience as soon as you can. Whether that's your classwork, volunteering, or interning, you want to be doing real field work. You don't want to just be learning in a classroom. There are some new grad type jobs that are offered in many places for people looking to get started. A lot of times you want to do things that don't pay very well or even are unpaid, because I know some people say that's sort of an American thing to not pay interns, but it's actually a universal thing for biologists, because I found some openings in Australia, for example, that are unpaid internships. And a lot of people try to get you to pay for these internships even, like do field work in Africa for 6 weeks, and it'll be thousands of dollars. So if you have the opportunity to do something for free, that's really good. Try to save up so you can afford those kinds of situations. And usually they'll give you some discounted or free housing, so that's pretty nice. I don't qualify for any of the new grad type jobs because I'm too old, but I am willing to move around and do less pleasant or boring tasks until I get established, and you should be too. So if you can't afford to work for no pay, definitely be willing to move and to do things like looking for dead animals or hiking for several miles a day, carrying heavy loads, because you're not going to be getting a super fancy gig right away.
Mm-hmm. So what skills do you think are most important for someone doing your kind of field work?
So I would say a few different skills: the ability to learn and adapt, the love of wildlife and the outdoors, resilience to weather and field conditions. Like I said, it can be windy, rainy, hot, or cold. The ability to drive is pretty good and safely on various road types. Physical fitness, enough to walk around and get around situations like gates, nothing too crazy. You don't have to be a CrossFit bodybuilder, triathlete, but you do need to be able to walk for a while. The willingness to work hard and maybe doing repetitive or thankless tasks without getting frustrated.
Okay, I think that's pretty much what I had for now. Like I said, maybe there's some people listening who are like interested in getting into a career like that. We'll mention this again at the end, but maybe if they email in, you can respond to them.
Yeah, we can respond on the podcast, or if you prefer a private response, just mention that in your email and I can respond to you that way.
Yeah, so that's you can just send it to thewildworldpodcast@gmail.com. That's thewildworldpodcast@gmail.com. I guess if you want to leave a comment too, if you don't mind it not being private, you can do that.
Yeah. We'd love to answer your questions about working in the field. Well, I would. He wouldn't.
Yeah, you are. I can just give random false information too if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for giving us that info. I guess we can move on.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel for full episodes or download the MP3 from the links below.